Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the multidimensional MD. My mission is to help bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so you can experience more peace, love, and connection in your everyday life. Today, I would like to talk about what it means to belong, because this is a theme that has been coming up recently, and for me and for other people. And it's something, of course, most people have experienced at some point in their life of not feeling that they belonged or feeling left out. And then sometimes people feel like that more chronically. So I'm going to go over a definition of what it means to belong. One, why do you feel the need to belong? Two, what happens if you don't feel like you belong? What does that do for your health and how you might respond to that? Three, why you might feel you've been left out since you were born. Four, how you can create a sense of belonging for yourself. And five, how you can create a sense of belonging for others. This is so important in our family lives, in school life, in work life, in the neighborhoods, in the communities, in so many different aspects of our being. So it's layered, and the need to belong is just permeates through all those different layers. So one of the best definitions of belonging that I've heard, it was from a talk that someone had given for medical nurses a month or so ago. And this was actually on diversity. So belonging extends more than diversity. But if we are talking about in the context of diversity, the definition of a diversity is having a seat at the table. So you actually are given a space. Inclusion is having a voice once you have a seat at a table. So if you have a diverse group, but you're not allowing people to speak, then it's not really feeling included. You're just diverse without feeling included. Now, belonging takes it another step further, because belonging is having your voice be heard. And in other words, it is being seen and heard as yourself. So you can feel free to be yourself, to express your true nature, which is always beautiful and loving, and then to feel this mutual love and respect within whatever group you're in, whether it's the family group, the school group, the work group, of that you have this mutual love and respect for each other. So you're allowing each other to be seen and heard. You are seeing each other, and you all feel free to be yourselves. I mean, it sounds amazing, right? So, how can we integrate that more into our lives? So, let's go through this step by step. First, it's like, why do you feel the need to belong? I was thinking about this for myself because I'm a part of so many different groups. And then recently, in my walk in medicine, I've felt this many times because went kind of off of mainstream, but I work with mainstream integrated medicine, and I love to be collaborated. But then sometimes in the beginning, I felt like I didn't belong. And then depending on like what other groups you are in. So I had to sit down and think about this, of like, and really meditate and feel like, why do I feel that I need to belong? And one, it's just primal need, because it's that tribal need. It's the same thing I talked about with why do we feel like the need for other people to like us? It's we feel that if we don't belong, that we are cut off from the tribe, and that we actually need the tribe to survive. So when you feel cut off, you feel that it's your survival that is threatened. So it's a really primal need to feel you belong somewhere in some group or whatever group you're in. Hopefully, in many aspects of your life, you feel that you belong. And it's this need to feel seen and heard. Everybody needs that. Everyone needs that. It's like our walk in life, this need to feel seen and heard. And once I've mentioned this before, but one of my EFT coaches, she had said to me that, based on my constitution, that I was meant to learn to be alone, but not lonely. And for me, it gave a lot of purpose to my feelings of being alone, of feeling lonely. And then I realized like, "Oh, okay. I'm actually meant to forge a new path and help people that maybe did feel they didn't belong, give them a space of belonging too." Um, and this need to belong also helps us connect with each other. It is feeling like connected with other beings, and that connection requires presence. So again, it's that freedom of being yourself. When you are yourself, you're so present. You're in your body. So body, mind, spirit. So body is grounded, mind is grounded, spirit is grounded. You're here and you're able to flow through life. It's really the way that everyone wants to feel because it's so amazing, it's so expansive, and you feel like you can express yourself and that you can create and you can really feel like you can do anything in the world. So, feeling that connection helps us. And then you feel like you're loved as yourself. So these are really basic needs that we all need to feel just healthy and alive and vibrant in our lives. So on the verse is what happens when you don't feel like you belong? Well, this is a big stressor on your whole being. It can have and stress we know can impact your health on any layer in all worlds of your life. So you could have difficulty connecting with people. You might have difficult having like deeper or more intimate relationships, or with a child and parent relationship. Like, I mean, have you ever felt like your kids felt left out? I mean, how easy is that to feel for a child to feel left out? Um, or even within the family, though, especially if you have like multiple kids, they can easily feel they don't belong or they feel that they're not seen or heard. In your work life, you can feel that your voice is not appreciated, is not accepted, and you're not given the opportunity to express yourself and your thoughts and ideas, and how much it feels like how positive it feels and how much joy it brings when you do feel that your efforts and your voice is appreciated. So you could feel like that when you go to see a physician who doesn't see or hear you. You go to a checkup and they aren't listening to you. So I hear that so many times. So how people respond to that feeling of not belonging in different ways. So again, it is stress. So you might have a tendency to respond with this particular stress pattern. So some people might go straight for fight. So this is the major responses to stress would be fight, flight, or freeze. So in this case, like that fight would look like being argumentative. So if someone doesn't make you feel belong or you feel like a second class citizen, then you are going to fight your way through. You are going to make sure that they hear you, but in a really aggressive way. And they may or may not hear you. Um, you might feel that you have more of a tendency to flee, to run away, to leave. So, what does that look like? Well, it doesn't always look like running. It doesn't always look like um, removing yourself from a group. It can actually be hiding behind an alter persona to fit in. So maybe you're more agreeable and you're hiding your true opinions, and purposely avoiding being seen, or maybe you're afraid to speak up. And I've seen this, and gosh, I've seen this in a woman who was really terminally ill, and this is can be surprising, but how deep and primal this need to feel like you belong and people like you runs. So, I asked her if she, because it didn't feel like she was expressing herself, her true self, like her who she felt like she really was. And I asked her, I was like, "Do you feel like you're doing that?" She said, "No." I was like, "Well, why not? It's if you're she knew she was terminally ill. I was like, "What have you got to lose?" That's why I asked her, "What have you got to lose?" And she said, "Well, what if they don't like me?" And I thought that was so surprising because it's like the willingness to just go through your life, not risking that people that you don't belong or they don't like you. So, in a sense, hiding, and that's that fleeing pattern of stress response. So, you won't risk being cut off or not belonging. It's so extraordinary. But if you feel like this and you see these patterns in yourself, just remember it is really primal and it's okay if you felt like this, but there's ways to move through it. So I will talk about those. The last pattern of stress response is that freeze response. And so that is a checking out, numbing out, and that can look like in so many different ways through drugs, alcohol, binge eating. Um, you could literally like freeze up and make no attempt to participate within or outside the group, and feel down and depressed and might not feel joy in activities you usually love. So there's this extreme avoidance behavior by freezing up and numbing out. And you might have seen yourself do that in at different times in your life, or might tend to do that ongoing. And then, that takes us to like, why might you feel you're born left out? Because I meet patients that they tell me, you know, I I never really felt this like really big feeling of joy that I belong and that I'm meant to be here, which is of course not true because you're here, so you're meant to be here. And they can cognitively walk themselves through that, but at the same time, they're like, I can't shake this feeling that I don't belong here. And, I remember feeling like that sometimes growing up because I was really different. I looked different and I wasn't sure. And I was pretty shy and quiet. And I didn't know how to express myself. And I didn't know how to feel seen and heard. And I'm going to talk about that more. But now, why might you feel chronically like this or have felt left out or not feeling like you don't belong since you were little? Of course, if you feel like you're in a marginalized group, certain uh, like based on your religion or skin color, things like that, then of course it can be so easy to see why that might happen because there's this generational trauma as well. So you're born into a situation, into a family, a community of feeling left out, feeling like you don't belong. And so you have like that deep wound of feeling like that. We can take this even deeper because this is the deepest wound from spirit is feeling like you're abandoned by spirit, feeling like you're not part of the light. You're not part of the love, not part of the oneness. This is absolutely not true. But if you feel like that, that is the biggest wound of all, that you are not part of the oneness. How could it be though, right? But it's the ego that often says this. You don't belong and therefore you aren't good enough and therefore you must protect yourself and respond to things in various subconscious trauma patterns. It's really hard to connect with people in this way. So it's really hard to maintain and have the depth of relationships you want with yourself and with others when you're constantly feeling like this deep wound. So you are never separate from the oneness. And so then how can you create a sense of belonging for yourself? Because you don't have to wait for someone else to create a sense of belonging for you. You can do this for yourself. And actually, you are meant to do this. And this has been part of my journey as well. So I'm very familiar with it. And, it's really confirming who you are for yourself. Because the first part, I'll do this in like 3 steps. How can you create a sense of belonging for yourself? Well, the first part is the realization. The realization first of like the awareness of how you feel. I feel like I don't belong. So you call it out so you can shift. I feel left out. I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I'm not good enough for these people. When I was feeling like I didn't belong to a certain group, at some point after sitting down and meditating, I realized that I was feeling the need for someone else to confirm my identity. And that's a really deep thought. And that realization can be so empowering because it's not true. The realization is that you don't need somebody else to confirm who you are. So the second step is remembering you always belong to yourself. You belong to the world, the universe, the oneness. There's no getting around it. You are a child of the universe. It's who you are. You were never abandoned by the light, even though it can feel like it, especially in those dark nights of the soul, which I've talked about in another video. It's also okay if you felt like this because it's a very normal part of this human experience. Again, this is the ego, the protection mechanism, the subconscious stress and trauma patterns that try to protect you. So it's not bad to feel like this either. The third step is to choose consciously. So, first, realizing how you feel and that you don't need somebody else to confirm your identity. Two, remembering who you are. You're always part of the oneness. Three, choosing consciously to see, hear, be yourself. And you can give yourself reminders by getting out in nature, just getting your vibration, your frequency to be in resonance with nature, because that reminds you that you're a part of the world. You can meditate over time as you give yourself these conscious reminders that no, I can never not belong to myself. It doesn't even make sense. I'm always part of the oneness. And just keep reminding yourself this every single day, every moment that you need to. Then the life around you will start to reflect the inner peace within you because you are emanating a sense of belonging. And therefore, you start to see and feel how you belong more and more. And it has a ripple effect too, as others feel a sense of belonging too. So, yeah, as you sit into that, like consciously choosing, I know me, I know who I am, I can trust me, I know that there's some purpose for me to be here. I don't even have to go and find it because it's by being myself that I'm already fulfilling it. And it's by choosing to be present with myself that you step more and more into that creating a belonging for yourself. Then how can we expand that to create a sense of belonging for others? So often people think, belonging has to do with similarities, but belonging is not about sameness, all about sameness. Sometimes that people feel like it makes it easier to feel they belong if they feel they have similarities, but it's really not all about that. And it doesn't even have to be that because it's more about being present and accepting each other and listening and seeing each other for who we really are. It's a soul to soul connection. So in that aspect, then we can appreciate and love and respect each other for our diversity, for our differences, and still connect. So I'll kind of go through this in three parts too, creating a sense of belonging for others. So the first part is knowing who you are. So this is what I went through, creating a sense of belonging for yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to see, hear, accept yourself. You have to choose to show up and be present. Because if you don't show up, then how can you create a sense of belonging for someone else? In order to create a sense of belonging for someone else, you have to create that for yourself. So you must show up. You must be willing to show up for yourself, to see and hear yourself, no matter what you're going through. It doesn't mean that you always have to feel happy all the time, and if you don't feel happy and you say you are, then there's a discrepancy. It's not really being your authentic self. You can say that, yeah, I'm sad about things, but then I choose to step in and hear myself, feel myself, and that actually brings in joy. Two, it's So, first, show up, know who you are. Two is to see someone for who they are. If you don't understand, then ask questions, ask open questions about their interests, why something is important to them. Love them enough to be interested in who they are. And maybe they feel abandoned by the light and are just waiting for someone to accept them too so they can uncurl and blossom. Think of those kids or teenagers that feel left out or anyone that's hesitating to say something. And the more you connect with yourself, the more you'll be able to pick up on that for other people. Um, I know that my brother had mentioned that just in his work life too, that the more clear he got with himself, then the more clarity he had to see that in others when they felt the need to express themselves. And he was able to give them the space and time to feel seen and heard. And it really helps to create community and that sense of belonging. And then an efficiency in anything that you do. So, and then the third thing is you can't just leave it at that. You must continue the dialogue. It's never one and done. Belonging is a true connection over time. So you can have it moment to moment, but it's about maintaining that as time unfolds because we can't just check the box off and say, okay, we did it. And now they belong because you know what? The next moment or next week, it might not have that feeling anymore because things have changed and you're no longer present. You're no longer feeling that love and respect. You're no longer taking the time to feel and see yourself, feel, see, hear yourself, and feel, see, hear someone else. So I hope that has helped you in some way. If you have any questions about it or just comments, I would love to hear from you. It's a really big topic, and there's so many different aspects that we could talk about. And it really does affect your whole being and the health of your whole being. And so I hope that you will be able to integrate these creating belonging in your life so that you feel that for yourself. And then by a ripple effect that you help others feel that as well. If you like this, please, if this has helped you in some way, please like and subscribe so that I can reach more people. And if you'd like to connect with me in other ways, you can through Instagram at All Worlds Health, Facebook All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, or through my website allworldshealth.com. You can sign up for my weekly e-love letters. I send them out every week on Wednesday. So thank you so much for being here with me. I so appreciate you. And I believe in you. So I hope that you believe in you too. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you next week, Wednesday, hopefully around 11 a.m. Eastern time, although the time sometimes varies depending on what's going on, but around 11. Lots of love to all of you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.